Nope, no pictures. I would have expected more of an introduction than that. So, I'm Bob Darrow. I'm an alcoholic. Oh, jeez. I don't know if I ever get used to that. I come from the hitting bottom capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. And if your primary purpose is no longer you and it's helping drunks, it's a target-rich environment. And I love living there. I'm a member of the Connect the Dots group. And if you were to come to Las Vegas and go to that meeting, all the members of that group know that I'm a member by my actions. I have a sponsor who knows he's my sponsor. And if your sponsor is not sure they're your sponsor, they're not. Because the burden is always on the student. It's never on the teacher. And I also have a sobriety date, a date by which I've had no alcohol or anything else from my alcoholism, no other kind of medications or anything. And that's October 31st, 1978. Which was one of the worst days of my life. And if you would have said, oh, Bob, isn't this great the way you feel? You're going to celebrate this the rest of your life. I would have thought you were crazy, and yet it very well may have been the most important day of my life. I want to thank Colby he's been a great host. I think they're building a statue of him in GSO right now as we speak. AA's greatest host. And I really want to thank John and wherever he went. John and the committee for inviting me here. This is a great, as my sponsor would say, pocket of enthusiasm for the principles of Alcoholics Anonymous. And I got to tell you, I travel around a lot. Groups of this nature are the exception today. My home group is a group of this type with a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of service. We're a 3 legacy group. We study and try to practice the principles of the 12 traditions, the 12 steps. We're a very service-oriented group with 14 panels a week that we take into various institutions. We're involved in every aspect of service in Alcoholics Anonymous, from general service to intergroup to H&I to everything, conventions. We are a committed group that what we do here is more important than who we are here. And if you're new, I'm just curious, how many people here are in their first year of absolute abstinence? Whoa. Wow. Anybody in their first 30 days? Wow. In the back of the room, of course. I'm not surprised. When I was new, if I could have sat outside the meeting, I think I would have felt more comfortable. Oh, I thought you guys might be contagious. I'm glad you're here. This is Alcoholics Anonymous. It's different. I know some of you have probably been to some things, church, Amway, all kinds of stuff. This is different. It's the only organization on the planet where you come in a big shot and work your way up to servant. Everywhere else, it's the other way around. Because the highest you get here is a surrendered servant to something greater than you. And I know when you're new, you can't imagine anything greater than you. When I was new, I had a primary purpose, and it was me and my feelings and my relief and what you thought of me and my family and me. I was just consumed with me. I was my primary purpose. And yet when members of my home group would stand up and talk about selfishness and self-centeredness was the root of their problem, I'd think to myself, I'm sorry for you. But that doesn't apply to me. I'm not selfish. I'd share my bottle of wine with you. And I had no idea how consumed I was with myself. And I suffered from it. I suffer from a disease of self-consumption. I destroy myself with myself. I didn't know that. And I don't know why I'm alcoholic. My family, my mother and father are not alcoholics. Now, I've had alcoholics in my family, skip around generations and stuff, but I didn't grow up knowing anything about drinking. My parents didn't drink. I think in my whole childhood, I might have seen my mother, as she was going through menopause, like have 2 beers once in a while, right? I never saw anybody drunk. I didn't even know. When I drank for the first time, I drank not even knowing that it got you high. I didn't know anything about it. I was naive. I was about 13 years old, almost. And I was suffering from alcoholism. And I never picked up a drink because I'm an alcoholic. Without the alcohol, all you got's the ick. And I got the ick. I'm a pretend kind of lonely, depressive, mopey kid. I'm the kid who has to pretend he fits. I'm the kid who pretends he's tough. I'm the kid who pretends he's not afraid. I'm the kid who pretends that there's nothing wrong with me. And it's all crap. I'm scared. I don't fit anywhere. I don't feel like other kids look. They got something I don't got. An ability to connect with each other, they have an emotional freedom that I don't have, that I have to pretend that I have. And the first time I ever got drunk, man, I'll tell you something. I didn't have to pretend no more. I really was okay. I really was tough. I was really cool. I belonged. I wasn't afraid of what you thought of me. And prior to getting drunk the first time, my anxiousness and concern in my head for what you thought of me was overwhelming at times. It was a big piece of business, wondering what you thought about me. And the first time I got drunk, I didn't care what you thought about me because I don't have to pretend I'm cool anymore. I'm cool. I mean, I'm so cool that the people I'm with are lucky to be here with me right now. Alcohol did something for me that it only does for alcoholics. And it does something to me that it only does to alcoholics. What does it do for you? Well, you could say a lot of things. You allowed me to come out and play. Yeah. It allowed me to talk to girls. Yeah. It allowed me to dance. I can't dance sober, but get me half drunk, the rhythm of the universe flows through me. I mean, I can dance. It takes a mopey kid and I become funny. I become deep and interesting. Remember 3 o'clock in the morning, drinking wine, smoking reefer, cracking the secrets of the universe, Seeing that big picture, I remember saying to some buddies of mine, this is what Buddha saw, But what is all of that really? Alcohol relieved me of the bondage of self, a bondage I didn't even know I was in, but I was in it. Because when I'm sober, I just start to smother myself with myself. I just get me right on me, and I can't get me off of me. Like that creature in that movie Alien that attaches itself to your face. How you doing, Bob? I'm a depressive because I smother myself with myself and with my fears and my inadequacies. And man, when I drank alcohol, it all changed. I just came right up off of me and I could come out and play. I was the guy. And my parents, I had a high IQ and my parents are always tell me about my potential. Could never find my potential. And I drank alcohol, I found my potential. I mean, I was the guy I always wanted to be. I used to hang around with a bunch of juvenile delinquents down at this little pool hall, and I'd get about half drunk. Now, I'm not talking about drunk. That was later, but half drunk, and you're on your way to drunk. When I'm on my way to drunk, I could shoot pool, couldn't miss. I'd get in that zone. Oh, my God. I could, in my mid-teens, I started playing in bands and singing and playing guitar in front of people. I can't do that sober. Everybody's looking at me. I could dance. I can't dance. I could talk to girls. I don't mean to be crude, but I believe that if it wasn't for alcohol, I'd probably be celibate to this day. I mean, no, because I couldn't hook nothing up with nobody. You know, I'm too hyper self-conscious. I'm too obsessively concerned with me and what you think of me. When I drank alcohol, I got free. I loved it. I loved it. And no wonder I from the moment I experienced that first freedom, I lived for it. It became the center of my life. Now, not consciously, but I just seemed to exist between parties. And I lived for the opportunity to get high. Well, I got alcoholism. I don't know it. But when you got alcoholism, alcohol does something for you, but it also does something to you. And you can't see it. And I can't see it. But I'm starting to get in a lot of trouble. By the time I was almost 16 years old, I was standing before this juvenile court judge in the town we lived in for the third time, same judge. Bad deal. And they're talking about sending me away to a place, a juvenile detention facility that had a horrible reputation for abuse for kids. And my mother and father, who loved me and would have done anything or spent anything to help me, were in that chambers. And in those days, they didn't have treatment centers for kids. So what, you either went to the juvenile authority, or if your parents had the means and they could make a deal with the judge, they'd send you away to a military school, a place with some discipline. Or if you were 17 and a half, they'd put you in the Army. But my parents got me into this school, upstate New York. And if they would have known, and if the judge would have known all the deviant kids in the northeastern U.S. were grouped there, they wouldn't have sent me. But I loved it. I was introduced to drugs, rock and roll music. I got a new flag to march under. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, or at least two of those, and hopefully the third. And it seemed, you know, in our big book in chapter 3, it says, by every form of self-deception and experimentation, we'll try to prove ourselves exceptions to the rule, therefore non-alcoholic. And my experience with drugs, I think, was very similar to Dr. Bob's. Dr. Bob was a real alcoholic. But according to his story, he did high-powered sedative barbiturates every day of his life for 17 years. Why? Because he's a pillhead? No. Because he's an alcoholic, and he was a doctor, and it bought him periods where he could struggle through without getting drunk, because every time Dr. Bob drank, he had the exact same thing happen to him that happened to me. For God's sakes, the day Bill Wilson tried to see him, he couldn't see him because he was taking a nap under the dining room table. You gotta love a guy like that. I'm a napper. I get that. As long as I'm the alcoholic, that alcohol does something to me that once I start, I'm not done as long as I'm conscious. If I'm still awake, I ain't done drinking. I'm just not. I was sober about 10 years, and I heard a speaker talk about drinking socially for a few years and crossing over some line into alcoholism. And I remember driving home from that meeting that night thinking to myself, did I ever do that? Was there ever a time where I drank reasonably socially, like my daughter, who was not an alcoholic. Have I ever done? Was there ever a time? And I look back through my whole life. I couldn't find one incident where I'd been in some guy's basement, smoking a little dope, drinking wine, or maybe at the bar with my buddies, shooting pool, doing double shots in beers like we do. Or after about an hour, someone said to me, "Hey, Bob, can I buy you another one?" I couldn't find one time, not one time, where I looked at him and said, "No, I'm good here, thanks." I couldn't find one time. You'd think there'd be one time. But I hit alcohol. My alcoholism started the first time I ever experienced the effect of alcohol. And I've always been the guy that when I start, I can't stop. I remember going to a party, spring break in Boston with my buddy and one of my drinking partners. And we went to, this was a legendary party. It was amazing. I mean, they had kegs, they had tequila. I'd never drank tequila before. They had all kinds of mixed drinks. They had a reefer. They had guys who were doing lines, smoking dope. I mean, it was amazing. And after about an hour of really hitting it, man, I'm like lit. And a guy comes through the party with a bag full of capsules. I didn't even ask him what they were. I just took a bunch. Well, it turned out to be animal tranquilizer. Well, that's not good, because in an hour, I'm laying on the floor. I can't get up, but I'm still awake, so I'm trying to talk people into bringing me drinks. You know what I'm saying? Because if I'm still conscious, I ain't done. And that's me. I developed a phobia the only other person I remember hearing about this was in Dr. Bob's story. He developed this phobia about not being able to sleep. I had to put myself to sleep. I had to drink myself to sleep every night. Because I couldn't stand. There's nothing worse than getting half there and you're still wide awake and now your head's on you all night long. And so I had this phobia about, I had to pass out every night. And I have alcoholism, and I didn't know that alcohol, when I drank it, did this thing for me. The book refers to it as a phenomenon of craving. It's a result of an allergic reaction to alcohol. Well, I remember I went to my first meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous in 1971. I wasn't even old enough to take a legal drink yet. And over from 71 to 78, I would hear members of AA talk about this phenomenon of craving. But I don't have that. I mean, I drink and I go too far, but I just need a little more willpower, a little more control. I drink, but I don't claw the walls. I don't have a craving. And the odd thing about alcoholism and this allergy is it uses your own mind against you. The alcoholic never sees what's happening to him. And what happens to guys like me is when I start to drink, it always seems to be my idea to go a little further. I remember one time I had this job. I was towards the end of my drink. It was actually the last job I held prior to getting sober. And I was working as a telemarketer, which speaks volumes of my spiritual condition. But I was their top salesman. I was their absolute top salesman, but I had to be drunk. But when I was drunk, I could sell some stuff. And I was selling stuff on the phone that today the feds would put you in prison for. Because we were just lying. I mean, just out and out lying to people, selling ads in the Fraternal Order of Police Gazette. And this is Officer Conley down here at your state police. But you can go to jail for that today, right? I was the best salesman, and the owner of the company and the manager came in to my office one day, and they got a bad look on their face, and they said to me, "Listen, you're our best salesman, but you can't come here smelling like alcohol. It's a bad example for the other employees. They're sober. How come you can't be sober? From now on, if you come in here and we even think that you've been drinking, you're out of here. And this is not good news, because I need this job bad, because I need the paycheck, because without the paycheck, I'm out on a limb and I need the medicine of alcohol every single day. And so I go home that night, finish the deal off, and I get come to in the morning, and I'm running for work, and I'm a little bit shaky as I always am, and I feel that feeling sometimes like I want to jump out of my skin, and I'm not doing well, and I get into that phone room and I get on that phone, and I don't know, man, when I'm sober, I'm hyper self-conscious and sensitive, and I don't take rejection well. People are hanging up on me, and it's like my sponsor describes it as a spring in the pit of your stomach. Every time somebody hangs up on me and rejects me, it's like tighten that spring up a little bit more. By about 11:30, man, I'm losing my mind here. I'm insane. And I'm thinking to myself, this isn't any good. I keep going like this, I won't even get a paycheck. This is not only bad for me, this is bad for the whole company. Because I'm that kind of guy. And I think to myself, I got to do something. I got my nerves are shot. I know I'll go down here on my lunch hour and I'll go to that bar down around the corner and I'll have some vodka. Because you can't smell vodka, right? Can't smell vodka. And I'll just have a little bit of vodka just to take the edge off, just so I can come back and relax a little bit, for God's sakes, and sell some stuff for the good of the company. And I go down there and I decide I'm only going to have 2 drinks, just 2 doubles, because if you're only going to have 2 double vodkas and with orange juice, kind of make it a health drink. So I get in that bar and I order that. They give me that first double vodka and orange juice, and I'm trying to slow sip it, but I'm not a sipper. I'm just not, man. I kill that first one, and I only got 1 left. And I'm trying to slow sip this second one, and I get about halfway through it, and I'm starting to feel the effect of the vodka a little bit. And I start thinking to myself, this is the United States of America, for God's sakes. Who are they to tell me I can't drink? I don't get in fights at work. I don't do anything out of line. I'm not obnoxious. I'm the best salesman they got. I said to the bartender, do I look like I'm drunk? And I walked up and down in front of him. He said, no, you look fine. Give me another drink. And this kind of thing happened to me over and over again, where I would draw a line in the sand and I get close to the line, and I don't think it's an allergic reaction to alcohol. I don't think it's a phenomenon of craving. To me, it looks like I changed my mind. Little did I know that an allergic reaction to alcohol was changing my mind for me. And alcoholism punked me out with this, and I burnt my life to the ground over and over and over again. And I don't know what's wrong with me. And I think it's willpower. I think I have to learn to stop earlier. I think all this stuff, but the truth is, every drink of alcohol I've ever taken in my whole life has made me feel overwhelmingly like I need another drink of alcohol. It's always been that way. And that doesn't happen to non-alcoholics. My daughter, I love my daughter. She's amazing. She's my benchmark for mental health. I mean, she's just so normal. I mean, my parents, when they saw how I was growing up, must have thought aliens had switched me in the delivery room or something. And I thought that with my daughter. How could she be so moral? How so good? Always make the right decisions. But she's very social. She likes to party. She calls me up it's been about 2 years now, I guess. And she's very excited, kind of upset. And she said, oh, Dad, I was out at Stoney's last night. Stoney's is this big bar where they do line dancing. And my daughter has a lot of friends. And she says, I was in Stoney's for about 6 hours partying with my friends. So you get the picture in a bar, 6 hours. She said, I came out and I got in my car and I was on my phone. I shouldn't have been on my phone. A cop was sitting there. He saw me. He pulled me over, gave me a field sobriety test. Dad, I was terrified. I had just gotten the promotion. I got my own bank that I'm in charge of. I could have lost everything. Dad, I was scared to death. I said, for God's sakes, Kate, what happened? She said, well, I blew a little bit less than .05. I'm like looking at the phone, like you were in a bar for 6 hours and you blew a little bit less than .05. I got to blow a 1.5 to have the courage to go into the bar. You know what I'm saying, right? I'll tell you something. My daughter's never seen me drink. If she ever saw me drink, she would be baffled. As I'm baffled by the way she drinks. I saw so many examples of that in my sobriety. When I first got sober, against my sponsor's direction, I took a job because I had all the credentials as a therapist. I took a job as a counselor in a drug and alcohol program for teenagers. And I was one of the lead counselors there, and I wasn't sober very long. And I didn't, my sponsor was adamant about you don't get paid to help people. You just help them. But I just figured, hey, he's just not smart enough to know how to help people and get paid for it. And he was one of the Chuck Chamberlain guys for fun and for free, you know, but I'm working in this place and I'm not even there very long. And it's a nonprofit and they're having a fundraiser where they're inviting all these casino executives and lawyers and doctors and business owners from the whole community, trying to raise money to keep this place going. And it was going to be a cocktail party. Now, I was the only person that worked there that was in recovery, that was in AA. So I'm nervous, man. I'm telling you, I've never been around alcohol sober. And I talked to this old timer in AA and I told him what was going on. And I said, man, I'm really nervous and I have to go. My boss says it's mandatory. I said, I don't know what to do. And he said, oh, it's easy, kid. You got to do the same thing there that you do in an AA meeting. Well, you fit in AA because you do service. You got to find some kind of service to do there where you're helpful. He said, I'll tell you, the best job you can get if they'll let you do it, be the bartender. Nobody questions the fact that the bartender's not drinking. Everybody talks to the bartender. You're useful. You're doing something positive. I talked to my boss and he said, hey, man, that's a good idea. Yeah, you don't drink. This would be perfect. You can be the bartender. So I went there and it was everything the guy in AA said. People are talking to me. I'm joking around with them. I feel connected. I feel useful. I feel a part of rather than in the corner feeling apart from like I'm used to. And it was beautiful. Except that I'm trying to be a good bartender. And I started to have an experience that I couldn't get my mind around. People are bringing back their drinks because they're too strong. I'm sober over 41 years. I'll tell you, I still can't get my mind around that. You just want to tell them, well, just drink half of it. You won't notice after about halfway through. I think I'm doing them a favor. They don't think so. But my relationship with alcohol is unique to a person with alcoholism. And I am an alcoholic. And it doesn't matter how long I'm sober, I will always be an alcoholic. It's a chronic illness. And that's what almost killed me, was my refusal to accept that this is a chronic illness. I just had a dear friend a guy I knew for 29 years, commit suicide with 25 years, and he didn't drink. He was sober. But he forgot the chronic nature of alcoholism, and he stopped having a sponsor when he was 9 years sober. He still went to meetings. He stopped trying to do service and help people. I don't know what happened with his relationship with God, but I bet you it wasn't very good. And he was... at 29 years sober, he couldn't suffer himself anymore. He took his own life because he knew he couldn't drink. He knew it wouldn't help. And I'm that guy. If I ever stop doing AA, that's what waits for me. Because, I know something. And I know something because I was a late stage alcoholic. And in late stage alcoholism, alcohol stops doing something amazing for you and only does something hideous to you. And if you're like me, the book refers to us as we're a baffled lot. That's why at the very end of the last couple of years I drank, I don't want to go to parties anymore. I don't want to go to clubs and bars. And the reason is in clubs and bars and parties, there's people that are drinking and they're getting the effect from alcohol that I got 4 years before. They're laughing, they're talking to members of the opposite sex, they're having a great time. Their alcohol is setting them free. But in late stage alcoholism, alcohol doesn't set you free. I drink in depression. I drink in pathetic feelings of loneliness. So horrible and so driving that at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, if I'm sleeping on your couch, I'll get on your phone and I'll call people I went to grade school with. I called an ex-girlfriend about 4 a.m. one time. The minute she got on the phone, I started crying and sobbing and, oh, we should have got married. And her husband gets on the phone and threatens me. This is not a party. This is pathetic. And yet I have the mind of a chronic alcoholic. And if you have the mind of a chronic alcoholic, you forget what you should remember and you remember what you should have forgot. And what's that look like? Silkworth says after a time, can't differentiate the true from the false. Well, what does that mean? That means, here's the truth. The truth is that this drinking has turned on me. It's not fun anymore. It's pathetic. It's depressing. It's lonely. I drink and I emotionally get worse. And I ain't good sober. So this is bad. That's the reality. But you get me 6 months, 8 months, 10 months sober, and I forget all that. You know what I remember? I remember the parties 5, 6, 10 years before. I remember the effect produced by alcohol before it turned on me. And it's all I can think about. And I start chasing the ghosts of parties past. You never catch them. And the minute I start drinking, the only thing that's left in my alcoholism is the phenomenon of craving. And I start and I can't stop. And I burn my life to the ground and I end up in another detox, or maybe this time in the county jail with ink on my fingers. And I'm starting to swear to myself and mean it. I'll never, ever touch that stuff again. And I tell you, there were times where I don't think a human being could have been more sincere. I was up in Maine, and I came out of a blackout, and I'm in a jail cell, and I don't know why I'm there. And I have one buddy left who brought me up there, and I was staying on his couch. He was like my only good friend left in the world, and the guard comes to get me out, and I'm getting excited because what I really need is a drink. And I know my buddy Chris is here, and Chris is going to get me out. Even if he had to put his car up for bail, he's going to get me out because he's a stand-up guy. And they take me into this room, and there's a detective there with some paperwork in front of him, and he starts telling me that the reason I'm there is I took what they call a buffalo skinner. It's almost like a Bowie knife, with a big blade, and I opened up Chris's chest the night before, and he's in intensive care, and he's probably going to die. And as he's telling me that, I'm looking down at my jeans, hanging my head, and they're purple. And I know what it is. It's his blood. And I'll tell you something, I felt this horror well up in me. I've had a feeling like I'm going to start screaming, and if I do, I will never stop. And I'll be in one of those I love me jackets in some mental hospital. And I did what we do, and we're good at it. Push those feelings, harden up, toughen up, push those feelings down. Try to act like nothing's wrong, and I did that. And man, I'm coming apart inside there. I'm trying to look composed on the outside. And they take me back to that jail cell, and when that guard leaves and I'm there all by myself, I'm an atheist, and yet I fall down on my knees in that jail cell, and I'm sobbing, and I'm begging a God I don't even believe in to don't ever, ever let me drink that stuff again. And I got drunk the day I got out. So I come to Alcoholics Anonymous, in and out, and you guys always take me. Sometimes I identify with you, identify with your drinking, and then you always take me up to that place where how God changed your life. And the minute you mention God, it's like a steel door slams in my head. Because I don't believe in God. I fancy myself an atheist. I've known some real atheists. You got to be pretty religious about your atheism to be a good atheist, you know. I'm just a guy who's terrified and afraid of God. I'm just a guy at the core of my being is a feeling that I'm too stained for God, that I'm just too bad at being good. If there was a God and some people had to die of alcoholism and he helped millions of people and there was one guy he didn't help, I know who that one guy is going to be. See, because I know what I did. I know what I did to a mother and father who loved me and spent a fortune trying to help me and how I emotionally gutted them year after year. I know what I did to the women that tried to love me and the bosses that gave me a second and sometimes a third chance. I hurt a lot of really nice people just because they were in my way. It wasn't personal. And I know what I am. And if there's a God, I could see how he'd help some of you do-gooders in AA, but not me. And so I never opened that door. I just kept it closed. I defended my position. I told myself, and anyone that would listen to me, all this God crap in AA, it's offensive. It's intellectually offensive. It's weak. And I'm dying of alcoholism. In 1978, I was in a bad spot. I can't, there's no relief in the bag and the bottle, and there's no friendly direction anywhere. And I'm in a bad spot, and I've been sentenced to 2 years in a state penitentiary, and by a kind judge who felt sorry for me, and he stayed the commitment, and he put me in a long-term treatment center. I was supposed to stay there for a year, and if I stayed a year and I made the restitution, the court costs, I got good PO reports, good urinalysis, all that stuff, that at the end of that year it'd be misdemeanor time served. But if I couldn't complete all those requirements for that year, it would have been an automatic felony, 2 years in prison. And I go into this place on the north side of Pittsburgh. This is not a fancy treatment center. This is the bottom of the food chain for treatment. I'm in a room with about 6, I don't even know how many, it's with bunk beds as far as you can see, in this old abandoned bank building. And it's just full of guys, and all you smell is feet and ass. I mean, that's all there is, man. If you've taken meetings into low bottom Skid Row treatment centers, you know exactly that smell. I have one of the guys I sponsor. He makes fun of me. He does that impersonation for Apocalypse Now, where he gets down on his haunches and he goes, "I love the smell of detox in the morning," you know. Well, I've been going into those places for a long time every week, and they put me in one of these places, and I'm trying, but I can't stay sober. There's an insanity that comes over me after I'm sober, and what drives it? Well, here's what happens to me when I get physically sober. In the beginning, when I first get sober, I'm kind of pumped up. I got plans. I got little things I want to do. I'm going to go back to college. I'm going to get a good job. I'm going to get a nice girlfriend. I'm going to get a good, I'm like one of those car engines that won't turn over. I'm going to, right? My little plans and designs, the book says, and what I'm really going to do is get drunk. And why am I going to get drunk? Why? What's that about? I'm not stupid. I know this stuff's killing me. What's this about? Well, after a period of time and the shine wears off of my little plans and designs, all those emotions start coming back. I like what Silkworth says. He talks about 3 states. He said we're restless. Yeah. I don't feel settled anywhere. I have this feeling no matter where I am, I need to be somewhere else. Now, I don't know where that is. I just feel it's not here. I'm irritable, but I don't want to be irritable. I don't think I'm irritable because irritable people irritate the crap out of me. I am not irritable. What I am is a guy that just can see stupid people easily. Everywhere I go, I see stupid people. I see stupid people at work, stupid people in traffic, in the grocery store, on the television. There's stupid people all over the place. And then they make you, I'm in a halfway house, so they make you go to these AA meetings. Oh my God, they got the stupid people grouped in AA. All these happy, clappy people. Oh my God. People, they're grateful for everything. The truth is, I loathe my life. I loathe myself. Of course I hate myself. If someone else would have did to my family, loved ones in life what I did to it, I'd want to kill them. Of course I hate myself. People are grateful for everything. I remember sitting in a halfway house listening to this endless procession of people telling you their gratitude miracle stories. I thought, I've died and gone to hell. This is hell. This is hell. It's not just that I've ruined my life. I'm homeless. No one will talk to me. I'm totally alone. I got sores that won't heal. It's in the face of all that, I have to sit somewhere and have other people rub my face in how wonderful their life is. It's hell. God, the people in AA, and they love everybody. Oh my God. I don't even like anybody. You ever been really sober, depressed, ashamed of yourself? You like to crawl under a rock and not be noticed? And some yahoo in AA comes up to you and says, has anybody told you they love you today? I want to shoot him or me. I want to shoot one of us here. Because you know a hug's coming. I don't want nobody touching me, man. Oh, and God, everything. God. Oh, no. Oh, no. I'm afraid of God. I'll tell you, I took the mind of an untreated alcoholic prior to alcohol to the Catholic school. Bad deal. Because if you have the mind of an alcoholic, if you have my mind, all your head does is threat assessments. It's like a problem-seeking missile. I don't hear about a God of love. That's not a problem. I hear about a God who judges me for everything I do. He judges me for things I haven't done, but I'm thinking about doing. He can see in the dark, which is not good for a guy like me. Well, and he's going to send me for hell for what I'm thinking. Oh my God. We had this one nun. She was cute. She was young. She was cute. I think she was cute. It's hard to tell with all that hardware on. But she used to say, we must be pure of thought, word, and deed. I'm a little kid in grade school. I'm sitting there thinking, yes, sister. And then my mind starts picturing her naked. Oh my God, that sin's not even in the books. I mean, you can't go in that church, get in that little box with that priest, tell him that he'll come out and beat the crap out of you. So it's another brick in the wall that separates me in this disease of separation between me and you, because I know I'm the only one that's messed up like this, and between me and God. And so by the time I get to Alcoholics Anonymous, I've been suffering intermittently, and then at the very end, continually with untreated alcoholism, because alcohol stopped working. It stopped being an effective, immediate treatment for alcoholism. It stopped setting me free. It got me drunk, but it stopped setting me free. And it was horrible. In 1978, I got thrown out of the place I was in, and I know I got 2 years in prison coming at me. I don't know how many days I was on this run, but I was on it long enough to have the bad shakes back again, and my gums are bleeding again, and I got the sores. Some of the sores are starting to come back because I don't eat. I'm not against eating. I can only hustle so much money every day, and it comes to become a choice between McDonald's or a half gallon of Richard's Wild Irish Rose. McDonald's is going to lose every time because I need the blot Bob out medicine. I need to try, hoping to just put the madness inside me at bay. And I come to, I don't even know how long into this. I don't know if it was a week or 3 days or 5 days, but I'm already in bad shape. And I'm sitting on this park bench and I'm vibrating. I feel like I want to jump out of my skin. And I know something. Drinking doesn't even help anymore. Because I've been trying to drink and feel better, and I drink and I kind of feel worse. And I don't know what that's about. Wilson uses the analogy of a boomerang that takes such majestic heights and then turns around and comes back and cuts you. My alcoholism has turned on me, and I don't know why. And I'll do anything to turn it back, but I can't. I am powerless. And I'm sitting on that bench, and I hate this. I hate everything about it. I hate me. And that prior year, I had a doctor give me a complete workout, blood test, CAT scan, shot dye into me, all kinds of stuff, because I convinced him I had a brain tumor. I didn't have a brain tumor. Or I wished I had a brain tumor. It would have explained my life. Instead, he said to me, kid, you have alcoholism and you keep drinking, it's going to kill you. But you're a young kid in your 20s. It might take 5 more years. And that morning in that sitting, coming out of my skin on that park bench, I thought about what that doctor said, 5 more years. And something inside me just snapped. I just thought, I can't do 5 more weeks of this. I can't do 5 more days. I made the decision to kill myself. And in the decision, I actually felt a little better. It was like I had hope, as if death was a doorway to a new drug or a new drink or something, as if this is going to be the escape I've been looking for. And I shuffled down through the park and down a couple streets to this bridge, and it was a walk. And I'm standing on this bridge looking down at these railroad tracks on the side of the river in Pittsburgh. And I'm getting ready to try to throw myself off this bridge, and this terror gripped me. And it wasn't a fear of dying, really and truly. What the fear was that maybe this isn't high enough. Maybe I won't die. Maybe with my luck, and it hasn't been good, maybe what's going to happen is I'm going to end up paralyzed from the neck down, and I'll lay in some charity ward for 50 years because I'm a young guy, and nobody will bring me a drink, and my head will play and replay the memories of my shame and remorse and the stuff that wants to make me just insane. And members of Alcoholics Anonymous like John Scott will parade newcomers through the room. And I'll hear him say, well, Bob's, what happens to you when you don't surrender and work our beautiful 12 steps? And I'm paralyzed. I can't even give him the 1-finger salute. And that, the idea of not dying and being stuck, locked up inside myself, terrified me. I swear to God, if there had been a plaque on that bridge that said 100% of the people who've jumped from this spot are dead, I think I'd have been in the air. I was willing to end my life to get this over with. What I wasn't willing to do and could not even entertain the idea was to go on for years like I'm going on. I've been trying to drink myself to death for a long time. I think a lot of us consciously or unconsciously take that idea, I'm just going to do this until it kills me. Well, it's difficult to drink yourself to death. It takes a long time. It's like being kicked to death by rabbits. It just goes on and on and on. I mean, that's why so many of us start thinking about offing ourselves. And on that bridge, I broke down, and I knew a level of pathetic beyond anything I've ever known. I guess this is what they mean in the book when they talk about pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization. It's not just that I'm pathetic and my life's pathetic and I've ruined every relationship I've ever had and I've broken the hearts of everyone who ever tried to care about me. When the push comes to shove and I need to do the right thing and kill myself, I don't even have the stones to do that. I never hated myself more. I never hated my life more than at that moment. I shuffled off that bridge and through a bizarre series of circumstances, I was running from the laws trying to get to California because I thought if I get to California, I won't freeze to death. Because I'll tell you, I spent some winters on the streets getting thrown out of a halfway house. When it's 0 degrees out and you're walking on the streets, man, I know what it's like to try to sleep in a gas station bathroom and have the manager come in and kick it and tell you what you are and you're too sick and too weak to stand up for yourself. And you shuffle off and you feel like the person that he feels you are, a piece of crap. So I thought if I get to California, it's warm. I could survive. Maybe I get some false ID. The police wouldn't find me. Maybe I could start a new life in California. But I never made it. I got as far as Las Vegas. And by the time I wasn't trying to go to Las Vegas. I bailed out of a van with a bunch of crazy people in Vegas. And I just, through the help of a cop and some other people, I got into a detox in Vegas. And in that detox, I was sick. They had me on IVs. I mean, I was sick for a long time. And after about 15 or 20 days, they finally got me stabilized and they gave me some clothes to wear because the clothes I had on they had to burn them. They were they were bad. And they started allowing me to go to the in-house meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous where members of AA would bring meetings twice a week. And I met a man in there. His name was Dick Tucson. He died in 2013. And he'd been a past delegate. One of the guys started the Las Vegas Roundup, the retreat, the first nonprofit halfway house for men. He was a guy that did a lot of meetings. He was an activist in AA. He was a 5%er. And if you don't know what a 5%er is, I heard this from a trustee in 1980 in my first General Service Conference. He said that he believed from his experience that 5% of the fellowship did 95% of the 12-step work in service. And then he said that of that 5%, as long as they remain a 5%er and never change the game plan, those people never drink again. And I had fallen into the hands of 5%ers. I met them because they brought a meeting in there twice a week. You know what I thought initially? I thought they brought the meeting in there because they didn't have a life. My sponsor had lived in a freaking mansion with tennis courts up on the hill that looked over the city of Las Vegas. 2 brand new paid-for Cadillacs in the garage. He had a tremendous life. He was a respected businessman in the community. I didn't know why he was there. Why is he going to help a bum like me? See, I wouldn't have because I hated myself. And I was suspect of people trying to help me. But he seemed sincere, and I listened to him, and he came in twice a week. And he started talking the one time about his suicide attempt. And he was saying things you couldn't read in a book. He was saying things that were inside of me. And I did that thing that's the beginning of everything good in Alcoholics Anonymous. I started to nod my head. The book says until such an understanding is met, very little good can come about. And I started to connect with him. And I remember sitting there as he would share about his sobriety and early sobriety and how he felt when he drank and his failures and his emotions. I sat there and I started thinking, my God, I'm like this guy. And yet, something, even though I was like him and we were cut from a similar cloth, evidently something had happened to him because he was the happiest guy I knew. He laughed more than any. I remember watching him out in the hall with his couple of his sponsees, and they were laughing and carrying on. They just came back from a trip to Maui. A whole bunch of AAs went over there and had a great time, and they're laughing and talking about fun and stuff. And I'm looking at them, and I'm thinking, my God, these guys look like they're happier sober than I was when alcohol was fun. And I dared to hope. And people without options get to dare to hope. And the hope was that maybe if I asked him for help and I did everything that he suggested and did everything that he did, maybe it's possible that whatever this thing is that happened to him, maybe that could happen to me. Because I don't understand abstinence. Abstinence to me feels like I'm doing time. I'm chronically depressed. I've been diagnosed as clinically depressed twice in the years I was in and out. I have anxiety inside of me to the point of where I feel like I'm having a nervous breakdown. I don't fit anywhere. I feel this anxious apartness that Wilson talks about. I get around a bunch of people and I always feel like it's all of you and then there's me. And my defense mechanism against that is to sit up in my head and judge you and make it your fault. Yeah, that's because you're cliquey. That's because you're an egomaniac. That's because you're saying it's always to project the separation on you when in truth, in reality, I am the source of my separation. I am the source of my conflict. It's right in here and in here. But if you're like me, you don't know it because I'm defended. And I was the guy that was for years in and out of Alcoholics Anonymous. People tried to help me, but you can't help me. I'm too full of myself. I fit the old adage, you can always tell an alcoholic, you just can't tell him much. Right? I just shoot you down. I can be the lowest piece of crap in the room. I have done some things I'm so ashamed of. I have a wealth of secrets that I'm ashamed of. And in the midst of that degradation and shame, I'm still the smartest guy in the room. And anyone who tries to help me, I shoot him down because I'm smarter than you. In 1978, after that failed suicide attempt, I sat in that hospital. And I didn't know everything anymore. I knew one thing. But I'll tell you something, I really knew it. I knew it in my innermost self. I knew the most important thing that you'll ever know. I knew I didn't know. And from that place of intellectual surrender, knowing you don't know, abandoning my opinions, abandoning what I want, abandoning my will, my judgments, my opinions, and knowing that I don't know crap. For the first time in my life, I was sponsorable. And I run into people all the time that are in and out of Alcoholics Anonymous, and they're just like me. They won't let anybody help it. Nobody's going to tell me what to do. Well, the life you've been living, somebody oughta. And that's the moment I got a sponsor and started following his directions was the moment I was willing to get my life out of the hands of the idiot that had been running it. And that's when my life started to change. If you would have told me in 1978 that I would have the life I have today, I have a woman, a girl at home that just adores me. We're going to get married next summer. We travel a lot together. We're going to India the week after State Lines. And then we're going to France. We're going to Venice or Rome and Florence and Munich and Australia, New Zealand. We travel. It's all AA stuff. We travel. She flies for free. She's a stewardess. I mean, I think God just was in a factory somewhere making her for me. Because she's perfect for me. She's self-supporting through her own contributions. She's gorgeous. She can fly with me anywhere in the world. I mean, she's redone my whole house. At first I was a little, wait a minute. But it's better. It's really great. She's done a great job in my house. She takes really good care of me. There is just between us. There's one thing wrong with her that scares me. She thinks I'm wonderful. Kind of makes you suspect, doesn't it? Right. I need somebody. If you, I'm a funny guy. If you think I'm wonderful, you're immediately below my standards. You know what I mean? Right, right, right. I want someone with taste, for God's sakes. And I appreciate her love for me. I have a daughter that's never seen me drink. She's getting married at my house in April. We'll probably we'll have 100 people there for her wedding. Oh, not AA people, just friends. Or she has a lot of friends. And sometimes I look at my life and I think, how did I get here? How did I get here from where I was? And you know how I got here? I got broken enough and sick enough and demoralized enough to follow a solid member of Alcoholics Anonymous's directions. And one of the first directions he gave me, and I'm just going to talk about this and I'm going to quit. He wanted me to start praying. I tried to explain it to him that I can't pray. He said, why not? I said, because I don't believe in God. He said, I didn't ask you to believe in God. I asked you to pray. I said, hey, wait, listen. If I pray and I don't believe in God, I'll be a hypocrite. Oh, he said, oh, you've been a hypocrite all your life. What's the difference? Just do it. And it was the first time I took actions I didn't believe in. And it was followed by a whole series of, he wanted me to go on 12-step calls. He wanted me to sign up and take meetings back into the detox, help people. And I'd been a therapist. I had a lot of psychology and background. And so I tried to explain it to him. I said, well, I understand what you're saying. Don't you think I should work on me for a while? And he rears back and he says, work on you. You've done quite enough of that. Stop it. And when he said that, I thought to myself, my God, I have done a lot of that. I primal screamed. I was hypnotized, Gestalt therapy, rational emotive therapy. I mean, transactional analysis with Ellis himself. No, with rational emotive therapy with Ellis. I mean, everything came up on the radar. I took a run at it. I don't know about you, but I've been obsessed with making me better. And the end result is, here I am, standing on a bridge trying to take my own life. The end result of my absolute most focused and best efforts to fix me, and I'm dying here. And so what Alcoholics Anonymous is about, it's not a self-help program, as you knew. I know the treatment centers try to make it look that way, like we're some kind of self-help resource. No, we're not. We're not trying to help ourselves. We're trying to forget ourselves. This is a program of self-abandonment and service. I can't fix me. So I just got to help God's kids and get out of the way and let him have his way with me. And those of us that are able to live this style of life, this lifestyle, we get to know something so concrete. We start to know that God's idea of my life is so much better than my idea of my life. God could and would if he were sought. I think I'll let him. Thanks for listening.